with today's themes analysis. आज का सबसे पहला टॉपिक है गवर्नमेंट ट्वीक्स एक्सपोर्ट प्लान एज यूएस ups the trade ante. So if we talk about the basic context of it in a summarized form, तो यहाँ पर इंडियन गवर्नमेंट जो है it is revising its export promotion mission to focus on sectors mostly impacted by US tariffs such as textile, organic chemicals, machinery and shrimp exports. The aim is to support medium to small and micro enterprise, that is MSMEs, in these sectors through reduced credit cost, faster clearances, credit guarantees and potential export incentives. This initiative, involving multiple ministries and consultations with the industry stakeholders, follows an analysis by the Global Trade Research Initiative identifying vulnerable sectors announced in Union Budget 2025 to 26 with a rupees 22,500 crore allocation. The plan seeks to facilitate easier export credit factoring support and help MSMEs take on non-tariff markets. Coordination will expand to include the Ministries of Textile, Fisheries, Commerce, Finance and MSME. Officials emphasize that the scheme's broad contours are in place, with discussions ongoing on how to best deliver incentives and address tariff challenges. Next topic is thousands of forest rights titles vanish in Chhattisgarh records. So thousands of forest right titles distributed across at least 3 districts in Chhattisgarh seem to have disappeared from the records of the state government's Tribal Welfare Department at various points over this last 17 months, according to the documents accessed by the Hindu through the Right to Information Act. The state government officials claimed that earlier higher figures were faulty due to miscommunication and error in reporting, which has now been corrected. So this is a major cause of concern. यहाँ पर RTI एक्ट आ जाता है, उसके साथ साथ जो फॉरेस्ट राइट्स एक्ट है FRIs, फॉरेस्ट राइट एक्ट FRAs, दिस इज़ ऑल्सो इम्पॉर्टेंट. आप इसके ऊपर एक कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी जो है जो 2006 का है उस पर कंसेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी आपको लानी होगी, उसके साथ साथ नोट्स भी आपको बनाना होगा. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज़ इंडियाज़ फर्स्ट प्राइवेट कॉन्स्टलेशन ऑफ EO सैटेलाइट्स अंडर PPP मॉडल टू बी सेट अप. So if we talk about the Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, that is IN-SPACE, has announced India's first private sector led constellation of Earth's observation, that is EO, इसे short form में EO कहते हैं, satellites under the public-private partnership model. The project awarded to a consortium of Bengaluru based Pixel Space, Hyderabad's Anant Technologies and Mumbai Space Era will involve the design and launch of 12 advanced EO satellites over the next 5 years at an estimated cost of rupees 22,000 crore. This marks the first time in Indian space history that private companies will fully develop and operate such a constellation. The satellites will deliver high resolution imagery and value added services for applications in agriculture, disaster management, environmental monitoring, urban planning and national security. The initiative aims to meet growing global demand for EO data, enhance India's space capabilities and reduce dependence on foreign sources. IN-SPACE said the project will ensure faster commercial and more secure access to satellite data for various sectors. So this was the gist and summary of the topic. सबसे पहले ये जो अर्थ ऑब्जर्वेटरी सैटेलाइट्स होती हैं इस पर आपको क्या कहते हैं नोट्स बनाने होंगे, ठीक है, क्योंकि ये थोड़ा सा आपका स्पेस सेक्टर से रिलेट कर जाता है. सो दिस इज़ इम्पॉर्टेंट. नेक्स्ट टॉपिक इज द सीडिंग ऑफ एकेडमिक फ्रीडम इन यूनिवर्सिटीज़. नाउ इफ यू टॉक अबाउट द कंटेक्स्ट एंड सिग्निफिकेंस, तो इस टॉपिक का जो रिलेवेंस है टॉक्स अबाउट द गवर्नेंस, एजुकेशन, डेमोक्रेटिक इंस्टीट्यूशंस, सोसाइटी एंड पॉलिटी. द कोर थीम इज erosion of academic freedom in universities that impacts the innovation, research quality and democratic discourse. What is the meaning and importance of academic freedom? The definition is described as the freedom for teachers, scholars and students to research, teach and express ideas without political or administrative interference. Purpose क्या है इसका? Encourage independent thinking, creativity and innovation. This enables critical engagement with society and policy. So this supports democratic culture through free exchange of ideas. Current situation in India क्या है? There are various challenges. For example, the curricula is tightly regulated, syllabi is prescribed centrally, prescribed reading list decided externally. So the prescribed reading lists are decided externally. Suppression of dissenting or critical views, interference from political or administrative bodies in research direction and publications, increasing atmosphere of fear on campuses, impact, declining global universities rankings, reduced quality of research and publications, brain drain of talented scholars. Next, if we talk about autonomy versus accountability, autonomy essential for creativity, innovation and democratic dialogue, should cover academic, administrative and financial domains. Accountability क्या होनी चाहिए? Universities should be answerable to public and state for performance and ethical conduct. Governance should balance freedom with responsibility. Now, if we talk about the government control and risk, means of control, legislative acts, administrative orders, funding leverage, appointment process for key posts influenced by political considerations. Risk की अगर हम बात करें तो क्या रिस्क है? Stifles. So this basically stifles the critical thinking and independent inquiry, promotes conformity and mediocrity. This is the spelling of mediocrity. Harms democracy, economy and society in the long run. Now if we talk about the global comparisons, US में traditionally high academic freedom है, though recent political events like Trump administrative policies have shown vulnerable results. फिर अदर डेमोक्रेसीज में जनरली स्ट्रॉन्गर सेफगार्ड्स फॉर इंस्टीट्यूशनल ऑटोनॉमी दी जाती है. दैन अथॉरिटेरियन रिजीम्स की अगर मैं बात करूँ, डायरेक्ट कंट्रोल ओवर एकेडमिक कंटेंट एंड एक्सप्रेशन. Then if we come to policy recommendations, this ensures university have real autonomy in curriculum, research and governance, establish safeguards against political interference, encourage a culture of free debate and academic integrity, strengthen academic institutions to contribute to innovation and national progress. Now if we talk about the probable questions, सबसे पहले ऐसे आ जाता है, discuss the importance of academic freedom in strengthening democracy and innovation in India. दूसरा, examine the challenges to academic autonomy in Indian universities and suggest reforms. तीसरा ऐसे आ सकता है, without academic freedom universities cannot fulfill their role in a democracy. Comment. So इस तरीके के questions आपके मेंस ओरिएंटेड आ सकते हैं. नेक्स्ट आपका टॉपिक है अ वॉर गेम चेंजर इन अ बैटल फॉर इन्फ्लुएंस इन एशिया. लेट्स सी व्हाट इट टॉक्स अबाउट. So the article basically discusses about the growing strategic importance of the unmanned aerial vehicles, that is the UAVs. UAVs basically जो आपके drones यूज़ होते हैं, इसके बारे में बोला जा रहा है in modern warfare and their implications for Asia's geopolitics. Conflicts like 2020 Nagorno-Karabakh War and India's Operation Sindoor have highlighted UAV's role in reconnaissance and precision strikes. India, facing threats from multiple borders, is upgrading UAV's capabilities through imports, notably from Israel, and indigenous models, aiming to reduce dependence on the US. The Indo-Pacific drone market is becoming crucial for surveillance, maritime security and countering grey zone tactics, especially from China. Countries such as Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan and the Philippines are deepening cooperation with the US and allies to counter Beijing. However, contested airspace and rapid technological changes demand that India should balance imports with domestic development. सो इंटरनेशनल रिलेशंस के कंसेप्ट में, डिफेंस टेक्नोलॉजी के कंसेप्ट में ये इंपॉर्टेंट है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू यूपीएससी. Next topic है aid and advice. LG's nominations without government nod could affect Jammu and Kashmir's electoral process. Now, if we talk about the context and relevance, तो ये जो टॉपिक है बेसिकली पॉलिटी, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल गवर्नेंस, फेडरलिज्म एंड इलेक्टोरल प्रोसेस से रिलेट करता है. इशू क्या है? बेसिकली यूनियन मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ होम अफेयर्स ने आर्ग्यू किया है बिफोर जम्मू एंड कश्मीर हाई कोर्ट दैट लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर जो है वो नॉमिनेट कर सकता है 5 असेंबली मेंबर्स को विदाउट द एड एंड एडवाइस of the elected government. So this basically raises questions about the democratic accountability, separation of powers and the constitutional mandate. So if we talk about the constitutional and legal provisions, Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act 2019 sections 15A and 15B inserted in 2023 amendments allows lieutenant governors to nominate 5 members including 2 women if underrepresented, 2 Kashmiri migrants and 1 from POK refugee community. So LG's powers cited for bypassing elected government's advice. ये जो 1963 में यूनियन टेरिटरीज एक्ट था सेक्शन 12 का, उसके तहत है. की कंसर्न्स क्या हैं? सबसे पहले दे आर आर्ग्यूइंग दैट इट इज़ अ वायलेशन ऑफ बेसिक स्ट्रक्चर, जहाँ पर नॉमिनेशंस जो हैं दिस इज़ विदाउट इलेक्टेड गवर्नमेंट्स एडवाइस दैट अंडरमाइन द डेमोक्रेटिक मैंडेट, could convert minority government into majority and vice versa. So this could impact the electoral process, alter assembly composition, influencing political stability. Example, Puducherry 2021 में lieutenant government nominations plus defections collapsed the Congress governments. जम्मू एंड कश्मीर कंटेक्स्ट में अगर मैं बात करूँ, so as a union territory, absence of statehood and consultation reduces democratic accountability. So, the unfulfilled promise of restoration of statehood increases sensitivity of governance issues. Ministry of Home Affairs का stance क्या है इस केस में? Lieutenant Governor's nomination power is outside the elected government's remit. Discretionary power exists outside the realm of elected government business. Court reasoning क्या है? Consequential decisions must follow the democratic mandate. Lieutenant Governor should act on the advice of elected governments, aid and advise except in exceptional cases. Now if we talk about the probable questions, तो सबसे पहले यहाँ पर आपको यूनियन टेरिटरी का जो चैप्टर है उसमें जितने भी प्रोविजंस हैं ये एम लक्ष्मीकांत में आपको मिल जाएगा. ठीक है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल हो गया, स्टैट्यूटरी हो गया, ये सब आपको जानने पड़ेंगे. ठीक है, दूसरा आपने क्या करना है कि ये लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर्स की जो पावर्स होती हैं विथ रिस्पेक्ट टू द सिलेक्शन ऑफ या नॉमिनेशन ऑफ मेंबर्स, ये आपको पता होना चाहिए. ठीक है, और अगर जम्मू एंड कश्मीर के केस में कोई स्पेशल प्रोविज़न है विद रिस्पेक्ट टू द नॉमिनेशन ऑफ मेंबर्स, तो ये भी आपको पता होना चाहिए. देन इफ़ वी टॉक अबाउट द प्रोबेबल यूपीएससी क्वेश्चंस, तो वो कैसे आ सकते हैं? सबसे पहले ऐसे आ सकता है, डिस्क्रिशनरी पावर्स ऑफ अ लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर मस्ट बी एक्सेप्शंस नॉट द नॉर्म. डिस्कस इन लाइट ऑफ रीसेंट डेवलपमेंट्स इन जम्मू एंड कश्मीर. सी डायरेक्टली ऐसे नहीं पूछेगा बट इनडायरेक्टली आपसे पूछ सकते हैं, बट ये एक सैम्पल क्वेश्चन है जिससे आप अपने नोट्स प्रिपेयर कर सकते हैं. दूसरा, एग्जामिन द कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल इम्प्लीकेशंस ऑफ नॉमिनेटिंग members to legislatures without the elected government's advice. Next topic is how can SC or ST scholarships be expanded? What is the current parental income limit for the students who come from the marginalized community availing of pre-matric and post-matric scholarships? अगर मैं इसके बेसिक कंटेक्स्ट की बात करूँ और आपको इसके बारे में मैं अगर शॉर्ट में बताऊँ, तो ये आर्टिकल बेसिकली एग्जामिन करता है अबाउट द करंट स्टेटस दैट चैलेंजेस एंड पॉसिबल एक्सपेंशंस ऑफ SC, that is scheduled caste and scheduled tribes scholarships in India. So the scholarship aims to improve educational access for educational access for scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, addressing historical disadvantages. Key schemes include pre-matric and post-matric scholarships funded jointly by the center and the states. Despite their importance, coverage and implementation face issues such as delayed fund release, inadequate amounts, lack of awareness, and bureaucratic hurdles. leading to high dropout rates. Data shows that in financial year 2022 to 23, only a fraction of eligible SC or ST students received the benefits. For example, the post-matric scholarships covers students with annual parental income under 2.5 lakh rupees, but many remain excluded due to procedural inefficiencies. Experts suggest expanding eligibility, increasing scholarships amounts to match rising education costs, simplifying application process, and ensuring timely dispersal. Better coordination between state and central government and leveraging technology for direct benefit transfers could improve the efficiency. The article also emphasizes linkaging scholarships with broader educational reforms such as improved school infrastructure and monitoring support. Expanding SC or ST scholarships is not only a welfare measure but also a constitutional mandate to promote equality, reduce socio-economic disparities, and enable these communities to participate more effectively in India's growth story. So next topic is Jai Shankar to visit Moscow, Wang Yi to reach New Delhi. India to step up engagements with China and Russia. Move comes across uncertainty in trade ties with US after it imposed high tariffs. China likely to continue border talks during the Wang's visit. So India is set to intensify engagements with Russia and China amid growing trade tensions with the US following high tariffs. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar will visit Moscow in August Foreign Minister to meet Russian Foreign Minister Lavrov for talks on bilateral cooperation, international issues, and preparations for the Russia-India annual summit expected later this year. So अब ये मीटिंग जो है, this follows National Security Advisor Ajit Doval's recent visit to Russia. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will visit New Delhi soon after, with discussions likely to include ongoing border talks and regional security. Both visits are seen as a part of India's strategy to maintain high-level dialogues with key partners while navigating tensions with the US and managing sensitive issues with China and Pakistan. The diplomatic outreach also comes ahead of major multilateral events like the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO के बारे में आपको पता होना चाहिए, that is Shanghai Cooperation Organization meetings where India seeks to balance strategic and economic interest in a shifting global environment. So the next topic is RBI prescribes 7 sutras for AI adoption in the financial sector. So ये एक committee setup की गई थी by the RBI, that is Reserve Bank of India, to develop a framework that is responsible and ethical, that is framework for responsible and ethical enablement of artificial intelligence, that is free AI in financial sector, has recommended the establishment of shared infrastructure by regulated entities to democratize access to data and compute and for the creation of AI innovation sandbox. अब अगर मैं बात करूं तो ये जो कमेटी है इसने 7 सूत्रास को डेवलप किया है. 7 sutras have been developed to serve as the foundational principles for AI adoption. So this is guided by the 7 sutras. The committee has recommended for forward-looking approach. यानी यहाँ पर जो approach होगा वो forward-looking approach होगा, containing 26 actionable recommendations under 6 strategic pillars. तो ये 7 sutras include क्या करते हैं ये देख लेते हैं. So the 7 sutras, they include trust, that is the foundation of the people first. Then next is the innovation, over restraint, next fairness and equity, then accountability, then understandable by design and safety, and resilience and sustainability. So ये हैं 7 sutras. So using the sutras as guidance, the committee has recommended an approach that fosters innovation and mitigates the risk, treating these two seemingly competing objectives as complementary forces that must be pursued in tandem. So, under the innovation enablement, focus is on infrastructure, policy, and capacity for risk mitigation. The focus is on governance, यानी रिस्क मिटिगेशन के लिए फोकस जो है वो गवर्नेंस पे है, प्रोटेक्शन पे है एंड एश्योरेंस के लिए. उसके अलावा 26 रिकमेंडेशंस भी हैं फॉर एआई एडॉप्शन. सो ये 7 सूत्रास क्या हैं? दैट इज सेट बाय द कमिटी दैट इज़ फ्री एआई. यू नीड टू फाइंड अबाउट इट. और उसके ऊपर डिटेल्ड वे में आपको नोट्स बनाने होंगे और इनका रोल क्या है. इस तरीके से आंसर आपको प्रिपेयर करना होगा. एंड ऑल्सो हाउ विल इट हेल्प रेगुलेट दी एआई, artificial. So this is the last topic of the day. 1950 quake that broke mountains is a portent of things to come. अब अगस्त 15 1950 में इंडिया ने एक्सपीरियंस किया था अ डिवास्टेटिंग 8.6 मैग्नीट्यूड अर्थक्वेक in the Assam region that was caused by massive rupture along the boundary of the Indian and Eurasian plates. So the quake among the strongest recorded on land, reshaped the landscapes, triggered massive landslides, blocked the rivers and caused catastrophic flooding, killing thousands in Assam and Tibet. Scientists later identified it as a continental earthquake, where two continental plates collide unlike oceanic subduction quakes. सो द ईस्टर्न हिमालयन, ये जो ईस्टर्न हिमालयन का जो एरिया है ये इंडियन प्लेट में, दिस इज़ द टिबेटन प्लेटू एंड दिस इज़ द ईस्टर्न हिमालयन रीजन. So the eastern Himalayas where this quake occurred remain one of the world's most seismically active zones. GPS studies show the Indian and Eurasian plates converge by about 20 mm annually, with rates in eastern Himalayas ranging from 10 to 38 mm per year. So ये जो movement है builds on tectonic stress capable of producing another massive earthquakes in the future. तो यानी फ्यूचर में भी इस एरिया में अर्थक्वेक आने के चांसेस हैं. अब इसके ऊपर ऑनगोइंग रिसर्च हो रही है और उसके ऊपर हाईलाइट्स भी डेवलप किए गए हैं. This highlights the difficulty in predicting when or where the next big earthquake might occur. So however, lessons from 1950 underscore the need for enhanced seismic monitoring, stricter building codes and public preparedness. So अब ये टॉपिक है आपका, ये डिज़ास्टर मैनेजमेंट से रिलेट कर जाता है और इस केस में किस तरीके से रिसर्च कंडक्ट होनी चाहिए और उस रिसर्च को हम किस तरीके से मोल्ड कर सकते हैं फॉर सेफर डिज़ास्टर resilience. This is very important. So that's all for the day. This was the last topic of the video. Thank you and have a nice day. I request you to like, subscribe and share my channel.